The old lighthouse keeper, Silas, squinted at the churning sea. Another storm. The third this week. He'd seen countless storms in his 80 years, each one a stark reminder of the ocean's untamed power. But this one felt different. A restlessness in the wind, a deeper shade of gray in the sky. He adjusted his worn cap and gripped the railing, his knuckles white. He wasn't worried for himself. He'd faced worse. His concern was for the ships out there, battling the tempest. Silas had been a lighthouse keeper for over 60 years, following in his father's footsteps, and his father before him. It was a lonely life, isolated on this rocky outcrop, but it was a life of purpose. His light, a beacon in the darkness, guided sailors to safety. He didn't think about the accolades, the recognition. He focused on the beam, its steady sweep across the treacherous waters. That was his job. That was his responsibility. One particularly fierce night, a young sailor named Thomas found himself caught in a storm, much like the one Silas was facing now. His ship, battered and tossed about like a toy, was in danger of being dashed against the jagged rocks that surrounded the island. Fear gripped Thomas's heart. He'd only been at sea for a few years, and he'd never experienced anything like this. He scanned the darkness, desperately searching for a sign, any sign, of hope. Then, through the driving rain and the crashing waves, he saw it, a faint but steady light, the lighthouse. Relief washed over him. He knew that as long as that light shone, there was a chance. He focused all his energy on keeping the ship afloat, navigating towards the beacon of hope. He didn't think about the storm, the fear, or the possibility of failure. He focused on the light. He eventually made it to safety, guided by Silas's unwavering beam. Exhausted but alive, Thomas stumbled onto the shore, collapsing onto the sand. When he finally regained his strength, he sought out the lighthouse keeper. He found Silas tending to the lamp, his face etched with wrinkles, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of the sea. Thomas thanked him profusely, telling him how the light had saved his life. Silas simply nodded. "The light is there for everyone," he said. "My job is to keep it burning." Thomas was struck by Silas's humility. He hadn't mentioned his years of service, the countless lives he'd saved. He hadn't boasted about his skill or his courage. He had simply done his job, focusing on the task at hand. Over the years, Thomas went on to become a captain himself. He faced many storms, many challenges, but he never forgot the lesson he learned from Silas. He learned that true success wasn't about the accolades or the recognition. It was about the dedication to the task, the unwavering focus on the present moment. It was about the light. He often thought about Silas, about the quiet strength and unwavering dedication of the old lighthouse keeper. Silas never sought praise. He simply kept the light burning, night after night, year after year. He understood that the results were not his to control. His job was to focus on the process, on the act of keeping the light burning. And that, Thomas realized, was the key to a fulfilling life. Don't focus on the results. Focus on the process. Focus on the light. Focus on the task at hand. Give it your all, your heart, your soul, and the results will follow. Not always as you expect, perhaps, but they will follow, nonetheless. Years passed, and Thomas, now an old man himself, returned to the island. He visited the lighthouse, hoping to see Silas again. He learned that Silas had passed away a few years earlier, but his legacy lived on. The light still shone brightly, guided by a new keeper, trained by Silas himself. Thomas stood on the shore, gazing at the lighthouse, its beam cutting through the darkness. He thought about Silas, about the lesson he had taught him, a lesson that had guided him through his life. Don't focus on the results. Focus on the light. He realized that this principle applied not just to sailors and lighthouse keepers, but to everyone. Whether you're a student, a doctor, an artist, or a business person, the key to success and fulfillment is to focus on the process, on the task at hand. Give it your best. Be present in the moment, and the results will take care of themselves. The storm raged on, but the light continued to shine, a beacon of hope in the darkness. And Thomas knew that as long as that light shone, there was always a chance, always a hope, always a way forward. Because the true measure of success isn't about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about the light. It's about the process. It's about keeping the light burning. Are you focusing on your light, the process, or are you too caught up in the results?